I'm not a people pleaser, but I do have hesitancy sometimes asking for what I need. I discovered this a few years ago when I realized, oh God, I wanted to tell you one story. Okay, come back for the other story. I'm going to tell you this story instead. One of the craziest times in my life was during the pandemic, living in New York City. I didn't leave Harlem for 6 months. I lived in Harlem, which is probably like, I would say, like around a 40-block radius. And to not leave an area that you live in for 6 months is definitely a cause of PTSD. Like, I felt so isolated. So I remember having a friend during that time that it was a little bit after the holidays. It was like one of the first holidays. I think it must have been the 2020 holiday when no one was traveling. Everyone was still like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do? What's happening?" And I remember calling a friend of mine who at the time was living with her boyfriend. And I remember her saying to me, I was like, yeah, like I've really been struggling. It's been really tough. I don't have any family that lives really close by. Like none of my family was like, come stay with me. And then also I wanted to work. And I don't know if you all remember this, but during 2020, it was very interesting for artists. And if you're not a makeup artist, you don't know, maybe know what happened. But what they did was they started having us work. I think it was early summer, but you used to have to go in and have a COVID test every time you would work. You'd either have to go get one or like it became very repetitious. And it was very isolating because I knew that if I didn't just go to work and come home, if I went out and saw friends, I had the possibility of getting COVID. And if I got COVID, then I couldn't work. Then I couldn't support myself. So I had to make this decision of I need to choose work. I need to choose being able to live here in New York. So I was very isolated for a lot of months, probably about like 15, I want to say it was around 15 months was the first time I actually ended up even seeing my parents. So that first holiday was really, really, really tough. I didn't get invited to anybody's house, obviously, because I didn't really have family that lived close by. And I felt like, what is life? But I really thought, this is what really surprised me, is that I talked to somebody who I'd considered at the time a really good friend. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm like, I was really struggling during these holidays. This was after the holiday season. I was like, I was really struggling during these holidays. And man, it was so tough for me. And, I was just like I was really by myself and I just feel really lonely. And I feel really, so funny saying that word lonely. I don't feel lonely anymore. Thank you, God. I'm also realizing loneliness, we'll get back to this, but is a reflection of also not just being on your own, which is obviously heightened during something like a pandemic, something like, there's nothing like a pandemic, but loneliness is also in your normal everyday when everything is normal, is also your relationship to yourself too. But I remember telling her this anyway, such a lead up. And she said to me, well, you always just seem like you're fine. Like you don't really need people. What? When I tell you, I was like, who says that? Like, who says that I don't seem like I need people? In my mind, I was like, I was really upset because at the time I hadn't done the self-work that I've done now. So now I understand she was just projecting. She probably feels that way about herself. She doesn't really need people. And that's probably what she liked about me because she felt like she didn't need to show up for me. And I've talked about this a lot in just different videos, but I always talk about this thing called low maintenance friendships, right? And I remember, by the way, I have since changed my mind. I used to be like, yeah, low maintenance friendships are great. Like you show up when you can show up, you are who you are, you show up the way that you can in these moments. But I have realized that being a good friend is about being someone who understands that convenience is not a part of being a good friend. There are going to be times where your friend needs you and you showing up is going to be quote unquote inconvenient for you, or uncomfortable in terms of timing for you. Especially if you're somebody who's focused and driven and you have all these things going on. And there are also going to be times where you can't, where you're going to have that uncomfortable conversation of being like, can I support you on FaceTime? Can I support you on a phone call? Can I support you on a text? Because I can't be there right now, right? And in the depths of sometimes you actually don't even have the bandwidth to do any of that. And like, I always thought a low maintenance friend was somebody who could understand that. But I think what I really meant is I need people who are sovereign to be friends with. And that term sovereign has been really percolating in this wellness space and the wellness community. But what being sovereign is, if this is your first time hearing it, is somebody who is able to feel comfortable and embodied and can self-regulate without needing other people to regulate them. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means that you need to be comfortable with understanding that the body goes through so many emotions all the time. And a lot of times what happens with these emotional states is your body can take you, your mind can take you to the past or take you to the present. And when you feel whatever it is you're feeling, it can feel like you're there instead of where your body is actually physically at in the moment. Like right now, I'm safe. Everything is okay. I tell myself this often whenever I feel really activated. I'm safe. Everything is okay. I feel well. I feel good. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe, right? That helps remind me that I'm okay. I'm here. I'm present. A lot of times you can kind of look around. A lot of people say you can identify. Sometimes I do this. It's like, what do you see? I see a tree. I see a plant. I see a street. I see a meditation pillow. I smell clean air, right? Like just kind of ground yourself in the moment. Bring yourself back into the present whenever you feel those things. But this self-regulation that I'm talking about and being sovereign, what I'm talking about, is very different when there is a state of world panic, right? So when I had a friend say to me, I don't seem like I need anyone, while she was reflecting how she feels, I think that was an important understanding of how she views connection, not only to other people, but connection to self. And while you can be sovereign, while you can be someone who is fully in yourself and you feel comfortable and you feel powerful and you feel good and you're like, I can regulate, and believe me, it's not, I'm making it sound like it's very easy. When you're in a heightened state of panic or anxiety, it can be very tough. You can feel like you can't sleep. You can feel like you can't eat. You can feel like your heart is beating really fast. You can want to cry. You can feel just so many different emotions. Understanding that those are your emotions and no one else is responsible for helping you get back to center is what it means to be sovereign. That being said, that's very different than having the desire to connect and to have community with other people. We need community. We're human beings. If human beings didn't need community, then they wouldn't be able to procreate. We wouldn't be able to create other human beings. Well, we would be able to procreate with ourselves, with our own bodies. We would have the male and female parts within us and we'd be like, I want to have a baby. Boom. We would be able to have a baby. The whole basis of humanity is based on our ability to be able to connect with each other deeply, intimately. And that is the result of how this entire world has come together. So I'm not equating, by the way, intimacy with community, because you can be intimate with somebody that you are not in community with, okay? Amen? No, okay. So, but like, what I'm really trying to say is, as I move forward in my own life, I do pay attention to the wording that people use when they talk about connection with each other. And they, a lot of times, tend to talk about the way that they like to connect with other people, and understanding that, like, it's okay to say that someone doesn't need people, right? Because maybe that was her way of saying, Delina, you're sovereign, right? Maybe that was her way of saying that. But I was actually talking about like not being invited to anybody's Christmas or not being invited to anybody's Thanksgiving. I was talking about spending the holidays on my own, not that I can self-regulate. Those are two different things, right? Spending time with loved ones during a holiday is a reminder of community. Being able to self-regulate is a way of being in a state of life, right? Like I can self-regulate and still be in community, right? In fact, I would even say I'm a better person for my community because I don't rely on them to help regulate me. Now, that being said, when you have a great partner, when you have a great family, there are moments where you are going to lose it, especially in big moments like grief, where you're going to need to lean on people, where your version of being able to self-regulate yourself is not going to be enough. You're going to need to be held by someone in addition to you. You're going to need that. And being able to ask for that, that's what I'm learning right now. Honestly, that's the word. The word really is that. The word is, can you say I need, Delina, and not feel like if that person responds and says, I can't do that, can you allow that to not feel like rejection? Can you allow that to just be information? Can you allow yourself to say, I need, and allow someone else to say, I am not able to do that, and for it to be okay? Can you allow yourself to ask for what you want and be okay with not receiving from that person and not taking it out on them and not distancing yourself from them? That is the thing I keep coming back to, is like, I didn't end up maintaining a longer term friendship with that friend. And it's not because of how she said, you seem like you are fine. It was, or you seem like you don't need people. It was because I started to understand something about her. Because I was explaining that I needed something. I was saying, I desire to be around people during the holidays. And she said, I never thought you needed anyone. So she didn't say, oh my gosh, like, she didn't say, I see what you mean. I think sometimes it's like, even if that person can't meet you in the need, you're looking for understanding with them. You're looking for them to say, I can't do that, but I don't have space. I'm not inviting anybody additional than who I've invited to my Christmas or to my Thanksgiving or to my holiday events. I just don't have space for that. But I just want to tell you that I really see you and I really feel you and I really hear you. And I really wish for you to have that, right? Like, because the reality is like, your friendship can't be predicated on people wanting to give you something just because you asked. Like, if you ask and they say no, that can't be the end of the friendship, right? That cannot be the end of the friendship. But if you feel like none of your needs are being met in that friendship or in that relationship, it's time to really ask for what you want. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm noticing a lot of people leaving friendships because they don't want to ask for what they need. They feel like the person should offer it to them. And I believe that is the reason. Why a lot of people don't keep keep friends for long periods of time anymore, because they look at it and they go, this person owes me this. And that's the thing you have to understand. No one owes you anything. Being attached to the result of the friendship, being attached to the result of it isn't fruitful. Understanding that you have the power to ask for what you need, not what you want, what you need, not what would be nice, what you need, is part of your power. And it's not about their response. It's about the ability to ask yourself. Because when you ask, the other thing that's really interesting is when you ask for what you want, you actually feel better, because you're putting out into the world the energy of, this is what I need. And when you do that energetically, those things find you. Maybe it's not through the person that you asked. Maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's actually, D, I can't invite you to my Thanksgiving because we actually don't have space for anybody. But like, my other friend does this really cute Friendsgiving. Like, maybe you and I can go together to that. You know what I mean? Like something like that. So I think it's really important to just express that, like, community is going to be a very big part of this upcoming world change. A lot is happening with the internet. I think that's why, honestly, that's why I feel called to like make this video series, is that I just want to be able to talk to you, because I feel like everyone has an agenda. Everyone is trying to figure out how to like sell something, do something, like move some kind of product. And it's like, life isn't about that. Life is about connection. Life is about relationship. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is, speaking of relationship, if you love these videos and you've been coming back every week and you're like, oh, I'd love to know what else is going on with Delina, I do have a newsletter that I put out every other week that's called This Made Me Think of You. And you can go to my website, just my first and last name.com, and you can find and you can sign up for the newsletter. It comes like every 2 weeks. And it's like what I'm thinking about. It's a little bit more of what we've been talking about, but also random things like music I'm listening to or things like that. Anyways, I love you. This one was a long one, but I was really compelled to tell you that, like, it's okay to ask for what you need. Okay? I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. And I'll actually tell you another story. Okay, bye.